Hello. It's been a long time since I've done a video blog, but here I go. And what I'm going to talk about today is the merging of the two stories of the poetic Eddas of the Norse and the Tuetonic myths and legends, and how for me they merge into a story that eventually makes sense. We'll start briefly with the story of Kvasir's blood and the mead of poetry, where basically Kvasir is slaughtered and his blood is used mixed with honey to make the sacred mead, and it is taken to the hall of Sutang, the great Jotun, and Odin walks the land of the Jotuns in the guise of Bolverk, and eventually, with the help of Sutang's brother Bogi, he actually gets in to the caverns under the castle where Sutang's daughter Gunnlod is protecting the mead. Odin turns himself into a handsome young warrior, and for 3 nights he seduces her, and then escapes with the mead of poetry in his stomach as he turns into an eagle and flies back to Asgard, where he is chased by Sutang, and Sutang is eventually killed by Thor. But Gunnlod, after this incident, she gave birth to a child, and the child is stillborn, born beautiful, and with runes carved on his tongue. And the dwarves who looked after Gunnlod in the dark caverns, they made him a wonderful longship and a beautiful harp for the baby, and they laid the baby out on this wonderful grave ship, and they pushed it along the river to the land of the dead, and he sailed forth. But as this baby drifted down the river, he didn't die. He began to grow and to become youthful. He began to sing, and his songs could be heard throughout all the 9 worlds, beautiful and haunting and healing and telling of great stories. And eventually this grave ship beached itself in the land of Ivaldi or Volund, and to the Celtic peoples Wayland. That's where the connection comes in, with Wayland forged Excalibur, the great smiths. Well, these dwarf smiths, elves, whoever they were a powerful race, separate to the Aesir and the Vanir. They don't get mentioned much in the poetic Eddas. Well, anyway, Bragi walked through forests of Volund or Ivaldi, singing his songs and playing his harp, and all who heard it were mesmerised, especially a young girl called Idun, who was collecting apples, who was the daughter of Volund. And she saw Bragi for the first time and instantly fell in love with him. So Bragi and her set off to Asgard to find Bragi's father. And when they got to Asgard, Odin didn't know who he was until he saw the runes on his tongue. Then he understood that he would be the bard of the gods, and Idun stayed with him. Now, switch the story around. If you're part of the Volund or the Tuetonic families, your daughter has been kidnapped or eloped, one of the two, with Bragi and taken to Asgard. Idun is the giver of immortality. She holds the sacred apples. So Thrazi Volund, Idun's brother, after some conflict and trickery with Loki, takes back his sister to bring her safe home to his father. Well, once again Loki, in the guise of using Freya's hawk cloak, then takes Idun back to Asgard. So the problems start again. Thrazi Volund chases after and is killed by Thor. Thrazi Volund had a son called Skipdag, who is actually Volund's grandson. So now this battle starts out, and Thor's son, called Magni, known to the Germanic tribes as Halfdan, comes to fight, and he is slain by Svipdag, who has the Sword of Light. And Thor comes to revenge his son, and Skipdag severs Thor's hammer, so in the future it only has a short handle. And Thor returns to Asgard. Skipdag then rescues Freya and escorts her to Asgard. But he falls madly in love with her, and he wants to marry her. But Odin says, I cannot let you into Asgard, even though you are a great hero with that Sword of Light. It must be given up. So Svipdag says, I will give the Sword of Light to Freya's brother, for a hand in marriage. So that he does. So Frey now becomes in possession of the Sword of Light, which isn't really mentioned how it came about in the poetic Eddas. But then he falls in love with a giantess called Gerd, who is Gaima's daughter, or Gaima's daughter. So Skiptar, because he is the wielder of the Sword of Light, and known to the Aesir now as Skimir, or the Schemer, because they don't trust him, because he's of the enemy, is sent out into the land of Jotuns to woo the goddess Gerd for Frey. Well, he did so, but then she says he must be given the Sword of Light. So that is the wedding price, to marry Gerd. So Frey marries Gerd, and the Sword of Light is given to Gaima, who gives it to his wife, who is known as Gulvak, who was one of the handmaidens of Freya and Frigg, but is known as the Hag of Ironwood, who is also Gunnlod's mother, the girl who, as they're concerned, Odin raped to get the meed of poetry. So in her vengeance, she then gives the Sword of Light to Ser, the fire demon, who uses it in Ragnarok to slay the Lord Frey. So you can see how the two stories merging one from another, upon a piece of one. Eventually there is some truth in it. I'm not telling you this is the exact truth, I'm just telling you this is my truth as I see it. And I expect everybody who reads the variations, the stories handed down, told through word of mouth from one bard to another, to listen to many stories and make your own mind up. I hope it gives you a slightly more understandable version of the Norse mythology. Thank you for tuning in, and I hope to see you soon. Bless you.